So let's see. Dad's Fix-It Shop.
What's this about?
It's Dad's Fix-It Shop. Morgan got this for me for 1,000 years ago when I was a young man. And it was I was open evenings and weekends, specializing in broken toys, hurt feelings, two-wheeler lessons, math homework, skinned knees, and lost pets. Please reply with hugs, kisses, and smiles.
Repay.
Is that? Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on. So the drill was that when 1,000 years ago when I had a hangar in Minnesota, all my tools were so nicely on the wall. I had pegboards. Everything was so clean and my floor.
I saw a little bit of it.
My floor was painted white. I mean, it was pure, gorgeous, wonderful wedding white. I mean,
wow.
It was just amazing.
That's spectacular.
And then in the middle of the floor was this beautiful kit home-built airplane. Just perfect. And it worked. It was wonderful.
Wow.
And then on the side, because Morgan was about 3, 4, 5 years old at the time, I had this wonderful little, little Ike or Tyke playhouse that was put together. And she had her chairs and she had a little table and she had her umbrella. And it was very sweet. And I would do anything to get her to come there to hang out with me. So she would come into the hangar and hang out, and she'd go on the wall and on the pegboards, like going to a hardware store. Just imagine taking every wrench off the wall and bringing it into her playhouse. Wow. Getting rid of course, the orderly wall that I had merchandise to be beautiful and just as I needed. If I needed a wrench, I knew where to go. Now it was on the middle of a floor in her playhouse. And if I needed a wrench, I was not allowed to go in the playhouse and get it.
I can see that.
I had to ask her for it, and then I'd have to pay her for it.
Well, that's a good little business model.
She had a great gig going. All right, so I guess we're rolling. So this is welcome to show number. Say it with me. I think it's 18.
'Tis 18.
Oh, I love that. And tonight on show 18, we will let you know that we have Justin tonight.
It is I.
Now, along with Justin, we both decided to be a dynamic duo. And I decided to wear my Snoopy socks.
I like those.
And what did you do about it?
Well, I also borrowed a pair of socks. So we have Woodstock. But we're both space themed, so I'm very excited.
Very good. Because that's right where your heart always keeps flying to. Space.
That's right. One day I'll be standing on Mars. So
And I don't know where I'll be. I'll be somewhere in the heavens by then.
Well, and Morgan, she'll be there excited for me, so it'd be great.
I'm sure she'll be very excited.
We talked about doing a live show from the moon.
Well, that's possible.
Yeah.
Let's roll into the show. We have a long night ahead of us.
We have some long reads here.
So long reads, which means short answers.
But also means lots of details for Jerry.
Okay. Well, let's see if I can keep my attention going. Here we go. Let's roll on.
Okay, here we go. Hi, Jerry, all the way from Scotland.
Oh, I love this.
Firstly, I'd like to say how much I love your podcast. I was very excited when I heard you were starting your own. So, into my problem, if you will. I'm sorry if it's a bit long-winded, but I'd figure I would give you as much detail as I can for you to understand the whole situation.
Okay.
I, 26 female, have been with my boyfriend, 26 male. Let's call him Andrew, for nearly 4 years now. We live together and also have a German Shepherd puppy. Recently, things haven't been too great with us. I'm noticing things around the house like leaving the lights on when he goes out or not in that room, or not taking out the rubbish, and just silly things, but things that I naturally do, so it does annoy me. These small things then turn into big things, and then we end up having an argument to which nothing really gets resolved. I have also just started a new job in the field that I graduated in, but it is night shift, so I like to be in my bed early on the days I'm working, and sometimes it requires working the weekends. However, on the weekends that I'm off, I try to make plans with friends, etc. But Andrew already has a night out planned and usually doesn't come home for a full day/night, and I'm left myself looking after our dog. So overall, we've not been on the best of terms. He is quite selfish with these types of things, and we have talked about it, but again, it doesn't really get resolved. Now, onto the scene comes Luke, we'll call him, who's 24. Now, Luke and I worked a few years ago together in hospitality, and at the time, I had not been long out of my long term relationship with my high school sweetheart. Luke was handsome, charming, and very flirty, which I liked, and it felt good to be wanted. So, to cut to the chase, Luke and I did hook up a few times, but he was 18 at the time and I was 20. So, he was a bit immature and wasn't looking for anything serious. And I think at the time, maybe I was. He ended up kissing and being very friendly with a girl I worked with, so I distanced myself. And I was a supervisor in the restaurant, so I decided to focus on my job, which was hard. And I did have feelings and I was hurt by this. He ended up leaving the job to study in another city, and we parted ways on good terms and still had a few work friends in common, so kept touch every now and again. Now, cut to a few months ago. Luke replied to one of my social media posts, and we got to chatting. It was nice to catch up since we did used to be pretty close friends. Then he was saying how he was sorry for how he acted all those years ago and how he would treat me differently now. This was really nice to hear as I had been hurt, and it was nice to see how he had matured and realized how he had acted. And now in my head, I am feeling a bit confused. Is Luke the one that got away, or is it just lust? As I find myself thinking of him often, we still chat daily, all platonic, if not maybe slightly flirty on his side. I feel like I cannot talk to any of my friends about this, and I feel so alone and wondering what I should do. Luke has expressed how he's always had something for me throughout all these years when he's been single and in a relationship, and I think I have been the same. There's always been something about him I cannot forget or hang on to. So now I'm confused. Am I feeling this way because Andrew and I are in a bit of a rough patch? Is it lust or the one that got away?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Maybe, if you actually had delivered the whole thing with a Scottish accent, I might have been able to, that would have been fun.
That definitely would have been interesting.
But for the fact that we didn't, let's see what we can do anyways. We're going to separate your obviously you have two different guys, and we're going to take the first one head on. If Luke didn't exist right now, we still have a problem with Andrew. So let's solve that one first, because Luke is just is tantalizing the garden, should we say, or I don't know another metaphor, but he isn't the problem. The problem is Andrew, and you guys are definitely not on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are out of sync, and I don't know if you got out of sync more so because in the timing that Luke started popping in, you're just getting more irritated and you're looking for a way out and you're looking for that excuse. And you don't have to look too far for the excuse. If you close your eyes and say, do I want to be with this guy? Is this what marriage is going to be like? That's your question. And it's easy. If this is what marriage is going to be like with Andrew and you're happy with that, hang out with Andrew, keep it going. But if you're not happy with this kind of relationship, then you got two choices to do. One, you can certainly feel if it's worth it to open a dialogue with Andrew and say, Andrew, we've talked about this. We've been getting kind of irritated with one another. I've said things. You have two choices. One, you can tell me right now we're going to make a difference. Or two, we're going to take a time out because I'm not happy. And we're just becoming more irritated and we're deteriorating the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I also am a believer, all bets are off until I say I do. And you could be quite clear that you dated a guy and he is paying attention. You're not paying attention. And I'm going to open the door for this. And you may not like it or not, but I need to go investigate to see if this is something that's going to be serious or not, and make that determination to go take that challenge. You can be direct by saying, I'm just taking a time out and we're going to separate, and not explain about the other person, but You certainly need to say one thing: either I'm in this relationship fully with Andrew, and Andrew says I'm fully in this relationship with you, or you guys take the time out and then go do what you need to do. Either be vocal about it with Andrew, saying, look, I'm trying to work through what I want for our life.
Yeah.
And I need to go check this out, because if somebody said, do you want to be married to Andrew the way it is for the rest of my life? Andrew, my answer would be no, not with the way our relationship is today. And by posing these questions to me, I'm assuming you don't want to be married to him the rest of your life,
Right.
the way that it's going today. So that's my initial gut feeling. What's your take?
Well, I feel like it makes sense then too, because if you really are this tempted and still have all these feelings for the Luke guy, then your relationship probably clearly isn't perfect, because if it were, you wouldn't even be thinking twice about
Correct.
these temptations.
Luke wouldn't stand a chance.
Right. And it wouldn't still be like, well, is it lust? Is he the one that got away? Would you even be thinking these things? I think it's smart to compartmentalize them, think about one at a time, because I think at first you got to figure out the shit with Andrew, and then maybe consider Luke after you've determined that. But Luke is not a deciding factor in your relationship with Andrew.
That is correct.
Their ideal outcome was just to get some clarity and guidance on the issue, because I can't talk to my friends or anyone else about this. Thank you.
Well, you can talk to us. So certainly take the first step. Is this a guy, again, you can close your eyes and say, I want to be married right now to him? And the answer, I don't know the answer. It has to come from you, but listen to yourself.
It's back to that gut feeling.
Listen to yourself clearly.
Yep.
So let us know how you do, and I'm glad that you reached out to us. Got another one for me?
Yeah. Well, we're just getting warmed up.
Okay.
Moving right along.
Okay.
Hi, Jerry. I'm
Hi.
a big fan, and I love your advice and was hoping you could help me. My 25 brother, 23, dated this girl, 24, for 7 years, and they broke up 2 years ago after she cheated on him.
He's 25, she's 24?
Our writer is 25.
Yes.
Their brother is 23.
And,
younger brother.
Right.
Dated a girl who is 24.
24, a year older. Okay.
For 7 years they were dating.
Wow.
And they broke up 2 years ago after she cheated on him.
Okay.
So brother got cheated on. Within 7 years, she became my best friend and really my only friend.
Mm-hmm.
I have a few friends, but nothing like this friendship. After they originally broke up, my brother made it seem like he dumped her because she quit her job, so no big deal. At the time, she was working for me at my ice cream shop. And once my season ended, he told me what happened, and my plan was to gradually grow apart, and that way there were no hard feelings. Well, a month later in October, I found out I was pregnant, and it turns out she was pregnant too with her new boyfriend, now husband. I felt like it was a sign that we were supposed to remain friends. She eventually moved to another state 5 hours from where we lived. We send a snap every day to keep up on the kids, and we have our little group of friends that when she comes back to visit, we all get together and have dinner. This last week, she came up to visit, and my brother heard about it and is taking it out on my mom. Our dad cheated on our mom, and they're still friends, and he said he hates that they are, and it's creepy. My daughter's first birthday is coming up soon, and I want my best friend to be there, and my brother says he won't go if she's there. I get where he's coming from, and it would be unfair for me to ask him to put up with it. I absolutely hate what she did to my brother, and I've told her that numerous times. I don't want to lose either one, but I know that probably isn't going to be the case. My mom told me I should tell my best friend, his ex, not to come to make my brother uncomfortable. I know it's what I should do, but I don't want to not invite my best friend. I even feel guilty still calling her that.
I think I can relate to a lot of this. I've had some experience.
Okay.
I think that your brother, I respect that he's hurt. But at one point in life, we got to get over it and realize the fact that she cheated on him just said, they weren't the right match. And he got away getting pulled over for a very rapid speeding ticket and let off with a warning. And he can go on with life and find the right person that will give him all the love and everything he needs. And the fact that she found the right person for her and has a life, that's her gig. He's got to just kind of look the other way and say, you know something, we're adults now. That is the past. Tomorrow is the future, and today is today. And not worry about it. And he may say I'm full of shit, but life is too short. It really is. I mean, we grow. And if anything, he grew from the experience with this woman, and he obviously cared for her because they dated. They were boyfriend girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
So they had feelings. I mean, it didn't work out. I can't tell you how many people that I've had in my life romantically that are gone romantically for whatever reason. But we're friends. We can still communicate. I would say 80% of the people that I really cared about that were in my life, I have relationships with and I talk to. And we're friends. We respect each other that way. And we can laugh about things. We can even laugh about things when we dated. But the part of the intimacy, that's that goes away. You don't even worry about it. That they have their own intimate moments with the person they're with. And, we kind of respect that. We never go backwards to have those discussions or think about it. So that's my suggestion: is have a discussion with your brother and see if you can get him on that path and that acceptance, and then you can have the best of both worlds.
I think that is a perfect world, but I also think that is very wishful thinking. I feel like from this, the brother is not there, not even close. So I'm curious, of that 80% you mentioned, did any of that involve cheating to where you, with the advice you're giving to hopefully, the brother can see it?
Yeah.
Did you follow that same path at one point?
I took it, the fact that we had enough time that we went on with our lives, we healed, and we got our friendships in perspective of what they are, and realized that we weren't the match. And I have actually, and this was not one where we cheated on one another, because typically I understand when you cheat, you've had a break of trust and disrespect. Sometimes you can get by that and say, we just weren't right for one another, and it's best that happened. And there was times it took longer. I mean, I will say in every relationship that has failed, it wasn't easy at the end. You're not nice. People, I wasn't nice. I mean, you start things that have nothing to do with the problem becomes a problem. Everything's exacerbated.
Mm-hmm.
But once you are free from it, and you can take a step back, you can just look and say, look, we weren't right for one another. Now, here's the next thing. This is her child's first birthday. This is his nephew or niece's first birthday.
Mm-hmm.
They are family. They are tied. He takes precedence. She's got to always stand by her brother.
Yeah.
And if it's making this friend understand that I'd love to have you here, but I got to work through this issue with him because I can't ruin my brother needs to be at his niece or nephew's birthday.
Right.
Unless he says it's not important to him, which it's important because it's family. That is very important. And she's showing the respect and the love for her brother by taking that position. And I think that's important.
So that makes this really challenging, because if you know your brother still feels that way, and the needle's not moving right now.
Well, maybe she needs to work harder in getting that needle to take a precedent. That's her option. That's her option.
Right. Well, and that might happen over time, but for this is imminent. This is coming.
Well,
so for this particular situation, how do you how do you tote that line?
It's simple. If she can't get him to move, and she can't get him to reason with it, with the fact that he's willing to do it and he's comfortable with it and he's going to move on, then she has to decline her girlfriend from being a part of it. I think this is a decision, or she could say, I've invited both of you. You guys can work it out. You can come or not come, be comfortable or not comfortable, and put it on their lap. I mean, if she could, she can take that ball. She's not telling her brother not to come.
Right.
He's a big boy. He can make his decision if he wants to put this behind him or not. And what's more important, his ego or being at his niece's, birthday. If I was posed with this, and that's what this is. When people say, what does father know something? I don't know everything, but I do give you the response that what I would do.
Right.
And I would stand tall and I would go to my niece's birthday and I would make the best of it. And I would ignore the other person there or find a term to say, look, this is our life behind us. And that's the way I typically deal with life.
Yeah.
And I find it to be a workable solution for me.
Yeah.
So it's up to him to, you can play this for him if you wish. And maybe that might help him see the light. I don't know.
Yeah. I hate being in situations like this where you just have this seemingly impossible decision to make, where it feels like you're going to lose one or the other, and that's an awful position.
Let's role play a second. Put yourself as this brother. You were with this woman that you cared for very much. She cheated on you. She dishonored you. She fucked with your radar. She lied to you. Whatever it is, you gave her your heart and you got your heart stomped.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, she's gone and you're free and safe, and you're going to go on and meet somebody wonderful, and maybe someone like Morgan.
Yeah.
Maybe Morgan's not in your life yet, but you see the fact that that's done. That woman's got a child. She's gone on with her life.
Well, it's interesting because the ages actually slightly line up to when similar things happen in my life.
Okay, so.
And if I were 23 and this had happened 2 years prior, which actually it's closely accurate, I probably would be in a similar position at that age to the brother.
Okay. What would you do with your niece? Would you go to your niece's birthday and let this person control you not to go? Her presence control your action? Or are you I'm going to go to my niece's birthday and no one's going to stop me?
Well, yeah, I'd probably go for sure. I think it's easy to say, oh, who's coming? All right, yep, I'm just not going to go. It's easy to put that threat out there. I don't know if you actually follow through, but God, would it just be the most uncomfortable thing? And you're not playing into, I don't think you're not benefiting the person that cheated on you because you're showing up at your niece or nephew's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So you're at least not, like, you're not spiting them by not going either. It's just you're really having no effect.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just you're avoiding the situation.
Your own confrontation and your own feelings.
Yeah.
Well, you can make a decision. Do I want to be at my niece's and just not broach that? And I think the fact that if she actually goes and says, I honestly am going to leave this up to you. I'm going to have the birthday. If her daughter's name is Macy, your niece Macy is going to have her first birthday. I know it'd be wonderful to have you. I would hate if you let somebody else's, your emotion or a circumstance from years ago control your movement today. You're an adult man. Be your own man, be your own choice, and don't let someone else, action of showing up control you. And say I'm inviting her. She may show, she may not show, but I'm going to extend the invitation because I'm not penalizing anybody. The fact that what happened with you guys has nothing to do with me. It was all you. It's your relationship. And I don't want to be in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And I think in all reality, that's the way I'd handle it.
Well, it's tough because they are like the closest of friends. She's calling her basically her only real friend.
And he is her best friend, also is her brother. But like I said, she's got to take herself and be in the middle, and she can say it's up to you to show up and it's up to her to show up. I'm inviting you guys. We're all adults. Get yourself in check.
Yeah. Their ideal outcome was preferably I can invite them both and my brother won't get mad, but I don't see that happening. So
I think you just got to just separate and just say just the way it is. It's up to you guys to show up or not show up. You're adults now. It's the past is the past. Let's move on, and don't try to manipulate me and my brother. I love you, and I want you to be there.
yeah, I'm just not settled on it. I don't know.
I understand the way you are, and you got to remember one thing. I'm 64. I got a song named after me, and with that came a lot of life.
Yeah.
Of things that are bigger problems in life. This is not the biggest problem in life. And at the end of the day, you're going to go back in 40 years and you're going to think about the bad experience you had and you're going to say, that was a bad experience. I've had people that I have been very disappointed in our relationships, how they turned out. And I guarantee if they call, I don't say that I dislike them. I just say they obviously made themselves from being the most intimate of relationship to a casual relationship.
Yeah.
And he has with this person a casual acquaintance at this point in time. That doesn't mean he has to be mean. That doesn't mean he has to be cruel. It just means it's not deep. It's a casual, hello, I know who you are. If someone said, hey, do you know Bonnie? Yeah, I know Bonnie. You don't have to go into detail about you and Bonnie's dirt in your life. I know Bonnie, and that's it. And if you see Bonnie, hi, Bonnie. I hope you're well. What a beautiful child. What a great guy. Your husband, Dave, what a great guy. And if Dave is a pig, you can just say, what a great child. And good luck with you and Dave.
I guess there is something that's in the long run, it's easier to avoid the conflict. It's easier to kind of move on and not keep up the spite and everything. But let me tell you, it took me a long time to get there.
It's part of growing. It's part of maturing to be able to take situations that are sometimes uncomfortable and just make the best, get through it and move on. And then you'll say, I tackled that was nothing.
Yeah.
And I moved on. We go forward, and don't let this baggage of yesterday own you for tomorrow. It's heavy. Get rid of that baggage.
True.
And and her brother, and I hope that you play this for him because it will help him to realize he can't let her own him. He's moved, she's gone, he's moved on. Be elegant.
Elegance is key.
It really is. And you guys hear me say this over and over again, but people grow respect for that person that holds himself high and doesn't duck in a corner and doesn't hide. There's no need for him to hide. He doesn't have to be center stage either, but he can certainly be amongst the family and amongst the event.
True.
So that's where I stand on this one. So my advice is you invite whoever the hell you want to invite to your party and let the kids deal with it. And if they want to be grown-ups, it will be even better.
Yes, and please let us know. I'm very, very curious.
And to see how it really worked out.
Okay.
Let's
keep going.
I hope you have a good one for me. That was a good one, actually. I enjoyed that one.
That was a good one. This one, I am curious what you will think.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm just going to get right into it. My 20 female, fiance, 23 male, doesn't like driving and gets driving anxiety really bad, and it's starting to wear on me a little bit. We've been together for 3.5 years, and I have driven us nearly everywhere, which I've not minded too much in the past considering I'm a pretty good driver and confident enough to drive in big cities, the interstate, etc. He's only comfortable driving to families' houses, which are very short distances, and even then, he hasn't driven in months at this point. I drive him to meet with his friends, to carpool to work. I drive us to the city. I drive to get food, everywhere. Like I said, I normally don't mind, but lately I just keep thinking about the fact that this won't happen forever. I won't always be able to drive him to work or wherever he needs to go. Our town doesn't have a bus system or taxis. I try to talk to him about this, and he immediately just gets defensive and expresses how much anxiety he gets while driving and how it doesn't matter how much he drives, it won't go away. I get that. I really do. But at the same time, sometimes I just want to be able to sit in the passenger seat, not have to be aware and focused on driving all the time. And I'm worried that if he doesn't get over this, it will eventually affect his opportunities in the future when I can't be there to drive him. This seems like a petty problem, and I feel bad for even being annoyed about it, but he won't even do so much as to drive us to the grocery store like 10 minutes from our house because he's afraid of the parking lot. We've had the conversation multiple times about this, and it goes the same way every time with no changes. What can I do about this? I love him so much and I enjoy driving, but sometimes I need a break. I'm in college and about to graduate and get a full-time job, so my time will be taken up. As it is, I drive 45 minutes daily to school and back on the highway, and it's exhausting, not to mention our other countless trips. Do I totally suck for not just accepting his driving anxiety after being together for so long?
There's a couple of things. First, many thoughts come to mind. My first thought is this: something happened to this guy that has given him, basically, for an expression that I will use, I call it age arrested, or an impact in his life, an experience. Some people call it post traumatic. There's something that's going on here. So just imagine that you're with somebody who you love, for better, and they say when you get married, better or for worse. So let's imagine he was great. He drove everywhere you wanted, and all of a sudden you're married for year 5 into it. He gets in a car accident, blindsided, and something traumatic happens with that accident, and he can't deal with it, and he's going through this post-traumatic. I would imagine that this is a psychological issue that probably maybe could be dealt with. I mean, there are people that specialize in hypnosis. They specialize in other ways of dealing with these phobias, and I would look into that for him. Obviously, you love him, and you don't want to criticize him. If you fell in love with this guy and he had a physical, something that wasn't right physically that you could see, or he was blind, or his one nostril fell off the side of his face. I mean, and you're in love with him, you're not going to see it because you're in love with who he is. This is a part of who he is, and it's something that couples work through. And if your love is, I'm not telling you to break up with the guy because he doesn't want to drive, but you have to decide: A, can you deal with that? Is it going to affect your love? And I don't want to say it's shallow if it does, because it's all about how you guys deal with your own relationship.
Right.
But I do believe that there's probably hope for him out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen too many things with hypnosis and how things are interpreted with someone that's young, something that happened, and you go under hypnosis and they find the wire that was, caused, the incident that caused that wire to go to the wrong, receptor.
Yeah.
And they work on it. And believe it or not, through training, some of the stuff works out. My sister was terrified to fly, so she dealt with it by learning to fly. And as soon as she soloed and landed a plane by herself and she understood it, she said, "I'm okay. I can go flying now."
Yeah.
Now she didn't keep with flying as as a private, but she certainly got over the anxiety of it. And people have different anxieties, and they're real.
Yeah.
This guy's anxiety is very real. I've met people that I was, going to be 16 and be able to learn to drive. Couldn't wait to get in the car. I think I was going to drive illegally at 14 and 15.
Yeah.
So I got my motorcycle license, and I would take a motorcycle to school at the age of 15 because I was on the road. When the day that I was 16, I was at Motor Vehicle in line at 7 a.m.
Yep.
I mean,
Me too.
and I have met, people today. There's Uber. They don't give a fuck. They don't want to drive. They don't want to be a part of this. And I was like, what is wrong with you? Are you broken? Dad, give me the key to every car and I'm going to go fill it up.
Yep.
Let me at it.
Yep.
So different people have different gears in their brain and how they work. So I would look into seeing if it's something that's real that he is living with that's traumatic to him. You obviously don't want anyone that you love to live with a traumatic anxiety.
Yeah.
Daily.
Right.
So it would be good cause to see if you can get him help.
Well, and this one's not only debilitating mentally, it's debilitating just in the function of modern life.
Yeah.
And you can't become I guess you could, but you don't want to become someone's personal driver forever. And I wouldn't feel so guilty about having these feelings because I would feel the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, I understand feelings, I understand anxieties, but it's starting to become a problem.
Yeah. Now, what you and I don't know is if he's adverse to go get some assistance.
Well, and that's what I was going to get to is I feel like maybe if this is post-traumatic or if this is stemming from something in the past, sure. But at some point, maybe it seems like he drove at some point or there was some driving. And I think the less now that he is driving, the more that you start taking over, I think the cycle is going to spit out of control to where he's never going to want to sit behind the wheel ever again.
If he has the anxiety from something that and by the way, he may have not a clue what triggered this.
True.
It could be totally blocked out. It could be an accident from when he was 2 years old. The anxiety is there that now that he's in that seat. We don't have a clue of all this stuff. So the answer really is, I hope that with a nice conversation with her and that he might see the reason. Maybe I should go have it looked at. Because when people say go to a shrink or go, let's go to a psychologist or a therapist to talk about it. The first thing that anybody that is really affected, their guards go up and they say, I'm not going to a therapist because what's happened is their subconscious takes over and says, I'm not going to go open that wound up.
Sure.
It's all about wounds. And if I looked at you had a scab and, I said, oh, come here. I want to peel that off of you. You're going to are you out of your frickin' mind? You're touching the czar. Well, someone that's got an emotional scar, trust me, the mind works amazingly well to self-protect. And it will divert. And the smarter the person is and the deeper the problem, the more that they will divert and they will find every excuse in the world not to go near it.
Sure. Her ideal outcome is I want him to at least start to drive us to little places like the store and other small outings to boost his confidence, but our conversations haven't swayed him.
Right, because let's go back to my theory, which remember, I have no training on any of this shit. It's all theory. But let's just imagine that his subconscious is blocking getting that thing healed. It's going to find every which way possible not to go down that road. This is exactly what it sounds like. And it doesn't matter if he takes small trips, he's going to have that anxiety because it's in a subconscious imprint. That wire is on the wrong receptor. But I do believe that it's going to take someone with some training to help him get through this.
Yeah, for sure. Well, especially because their conversations are basically ineffective.
That's right. I hope that you'll have a conversation that you guys can work it out together and get some growth and certainly get through this issue, because if it is something that is deep as a post-traumatic or a receptor or something that's wrong, that's just from a circumstance, it has other implications of getting worse. as you get older. It because it doesn't get better if you don't if you're not going to go
Yeah,
confront it.
true. Okay, moving on.
Let's go do it.
This one, for everyone listening, this one's a very heavy one.
Should we warn them about anything that about hearing this if it's a heavy one?
It just talks about alcoholism and death. So,
Okay. So if that's going to affect you, you may not want to listen to this one.
okay.
Let's go.
Yeah. My father's 1 year of passing will be on March 22nd of 22, and I'm not sure how to feel. Unfortunately, my parents had separated when I was 2. I am now 22 female, due to my dad's alcoholism. Growing up, I didn't really have a dad. I had a really abusive relationship with my stepfather because my mom allowed him to bully me on a daily basis, and my dad still drank every day when I was growing up. He was not very nice to me when he drank, so I honestly tried to avoid speaking to him for a while. But he's my dad, so I still wanted to keep in contact. The day of my dad's death, I got a call from his job saying he hadn't shown up, which, although he had his issues, the one thing my dad never did was be late to work or not show up. I immediately called my mom and we drove to his house. My mom, my dad's neighbor, and I all banged on my dad's door and windows screaming his name, hoping this was just a fluke and he was asleep. My mom finally called it quits and called 911. The police and fire department showed up and ended up having to break in through the back door. They spent all of 2 minutes in his house, then came out and gave me the news. I don't think I've ever screamed or cried as hard as I did that day. My dad might not have been an addict, but he was always there for me. He would have done anything for me, and I know that. The next day, my mom was already making plans to get rid of my dad's stuff, rushing me and pressuring me to just get rid of everything. She ended up pressuring me into selling his perfect condition Cadillac for $250. We ended up having a huge fight over this. I tried to tell her it wasn't about the money, but the principle. She treated my dad's stuff like trash, and I was mad at her for a while. She's since apologized and we're okay now, but within 2 weeks of my dad's passing, my mom and stepdad moved out of state, and now I'm the only one in my small family trying to make it on my own in Florida. I hadn't spoken to my dad since Christmas Day, and I never ended up seeing him because he had started drinking immediately, and as I said, he wasn't very nice when he did. I still have a card and a present for my dad that I never got to give him, and I feel like I'll never be able to get rid of it. I feel guilty for not seeing him, probably one of my biggest regrets. The most upsetting yet ironic part is the last voicemail he left me said, "Hey, it's your dad. I'm still kicking. Give me a call." And it makes me so upset. I don't even have recent pictures of him, and I'm already forgetting what he looked like. None of my friends have ever been through this, and therapy isn't financially available to me. I guess I'm asking for advice on how to deal with all of this. I'm sad and feel guilty almost every day.
There are so many different ways that people can give a different person advice to get through something. And as I heard your story, it reminds me of an event that happens once a year, and it takes place in August to I think the last weeks of August, um, just before September, and it's called Burning Man. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of it. And Burning Man is a very spiritual and awakening event. Now, I have never been to Burning Man. I'm not. I'm told that I would be a great burner. However, I'm a hotel guy.
Yeah, I got you.
But this is not meant to be humorous, but there is something that goes on at Burning Man. They build a temple. It's a ritual every year that they build this magnificent thing. And at the end of the event, everyone goes in with something that they can't get rid of, that extra weight. And they bring, might be a shoe from their father, it might be a note from their father, it might be something where they go to release that energy into the universe. And I hear it is absolutely life changing. People that have done this. Now, I have done some amazing things in my life and experiences that some people think that only a nutcase does. But I got to tell you, I've experienced some weird stuff, and it's been wonderful. And every one of you that are out there that write in, what makes what makes you you? What is your story? It's these life events over these years that helps us and makes us who we are. But when it comes to you, my friend, we can come up with a dozen different suggestions. But the one that weighed out on me for you was Burning Man, because I think it will help you.
Well, and it makes me think of the last episode we did. It might have been the last one or the one before, but we talked about someone that was guilty who had also just lost a parent,
Hmm.
and they were guilty for not having seen them in recent times,
Hmm.
and you related that to your experience.
I did, but and this one's different.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. I mean, not every experience is the same. And when I hear this one, all I could hear was just the spirit, this call them spirits, whatever it might be. It kept saying Burning Man, Burning Man, Burning Man. And I can't explain it. But that was the message I was getting in my head for something that might help you. And if all you can do is try it. So, hi everyone. So, if you've noticed, a few things have changed from the last 20 seconds when you were looking at uh, the screen. You don't see the dad's fix it shop. You don't see whatever else. My clothes was obviously changed. We have, Holly, our non-husky, sitting in my lap, which is a good place because we live in a condo. And Justin and I are back. And the reason why we chimed in tonight is as I was doing just the sequence last few days back that you're just previously heard, my brain absolutely wouldn't release from the word Burning Man. And I, as Morgan certainly said, Dad, can you give them any other options? I couldn't even think of another option. So, Justin, as I had some time to think about it,
Yes.
there other things did come to mind.
Okay.
Now, you said I have given advice for other things with regards to experience. And the one thing that was different is that she was carrying a load of unfinished business. In my case, my business was finished.
Sure.
When I lost a parent, being Jewish, as we make no secrets of my faith, that we deal with death on a different way. That we go, it's a tradition that for every day for 11 months, you say a prayer, you go to a service and you say a prayer. And I don't speak Hebrew. I didn't know how to pray in Hebrew before the event of my mother passing. When my father passed 20 years before, it was always said my brother would do this prayer thing. So I pretty went on kind of, I as the story was, I went to the funeral home. I came to terms with it. I moved on. But when my mom passed, it was a different experience. And so I said to my brother, I'm going to do this experience.
Hmm.
So as I was doing this prayer service every day, which is not easy, you have to get people together to do it. And I lived in a town where we didn't have a giant Jewish population, northern Minnesota. And I went to a rabbi and I asked him a question. And I said, Rabbi, when I come to these services, for some reason at the end of the day, I feel better. I don't understand it. You almost like drag me tooth and nail to get here. But
Yeah.
once I'm here and once we get through it at the end of it, I feel something different. And I said, why? And he said, well, when you get sick, what do? I said, well, typically I take an antibiotic, take 2 aspirin, send in my $5 to the doc and go home and rest. And within a day or so, I feel great.
Yeah.
And he says, do you know how the antibiotic works? I said, no. He said, Well, that's kind of the way that it works in the spiritual world. The medicine world is you take the medicine and it does its thing and you feel better. It heals your physical body. When you come here, it helped heal and close your spiritual hole that has been created by that passing that's left. And you don't know how it fixes it, but over time you notice that it's healing and you feel better. And I said, that's true. And he goes, that's the only answer I got for you.
Mm.
So that's one answer. And then I said, so to you, that might be one way is get together with community and go to prayer services. And maybe that might help you. You might get something offered when you do that. But there's another one that I came up with.
Okay.
I'm a very spiritual person. I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. And in many different experiences, I have experienced mediums. Now, I've never gone to a medium and sat down with a medium myself and said, gee, can you, you know, I don't have the number with me where they are at heaven, but and the extension, but can you dial them up?
Right.
Never done that. But I've been to some mediums in a show that I went with some friends that wanted to hear something. I went to a group where a medium came and was talking to everybody about the spiritual world. I was a lunatic when I walked into this thing and I was hearing it, and I had to put my seatbelt, the seatbelt.
Yep.
I put the seatbelt on and sat down, and after being there for an hour and listening to this, I sat the whole day and listened to it, and it changed my life from that experience to understand about energy and how through crossing over that the energy survives and whatever. And then my own personal experiences of listening in my head to my mother when she would come by, or my aunt, or things that I would hear that I was close to that I can connect with.
Sure.
So I was watching Netflix the other day, and they had a medium on that did a show, and I said, wow, another guy who's really able to offer people ability to maybe put something in different lights and communicate. And I don't say that nothing's not real. I say if you can find a qualified medium that can reach out, it's possible that they may tell you something or connect that you'll see the reality of it within your own experience and might help you. At least to recognize that there's no negativity on the other side. And when the crossover happens, that how it works. Because I've heard this from too many different experiences just to just discount it and say it's lunacy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all what you are willing to accept in your mind that you can grasp. But these are other avenues that I was thinking that might work for you. Do I like the idea of taking the gift that you got for your father and the letter you have for your father and go to Burning Man and go to the temple and release it? To me, nothing's wrong with that. But there's nothing wrong with going to a medium
Sure.
and talking to them, or go to another experience of at least healing. It's about a year now, she said. And at a year, you should be feeling healing. If you're not, you definitely have to take some action and to help you through it.
Yeah.
So try some of these tools and see if any of them fit for you. And I am sure a lot of people hopefully will write in their experiences of Burning Man. And if they have anything they want to share, look, everyone has their own way of doing this. So anyone that has a comment to help this person out, I really invite you to comment.
Yes.
Okay. Let's
All right.
go to the next one.
Onward. Okay.
Let's do one more. Let's do it.
We got one last one.
Good. Let's go.
So my partner and I have been together for almost 2 years, and we found out some crazy news from his other family members. We found out from his aunt that his parents are cousins, which means his grandparents are siblings. My partner is having a hard time dealing with knowing about it and doesn't want to confront them yet, because then that puts his aunt in a bad situation with her sister. The other thing to note is my partner has a brother in the Marines that has no idea, and we want to tell him, but we're waiting until we get our own apartment. So if his brother has a hard time dealing with the news, he would have a place to stay. The reason we feel it's important to inform him is because he plans on giving all his benefits to his mom. And since she's been lying for so long to them both, I think that's something to consider. It's even worse because I've asked why she has such a great relationship with her in laws, and she always tells me that she knew the family beforehand because the city is small, which I thought was weird but great for her since it's not bad to have a good relationship no matter which side of the family.
Okay, I got this one.
Let's go.
Um, in the history of many different eras, it was not uncommon at all for cousins to wed and have children. In our society today, because we know about DNA and we know about it's obviously, we make jokes about people that may have crooked teeth or, may have or teeth that are falling out. But the reality is this went on for centuries. Um, my grandparents, and being that they came from Poland in the old country, the way things were matchmakered, my grandmother married her uncle. And in the United States, it couldn't happen. They went to Canada to get married. That being said, it when I went back to Minnesota, and I thought that, when I heard the story from my grandmother's one that told me this, and I was just like, I didn't know what to think.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you love your grandmother and my grandfather, that they had a love for one another, but I go like that's, sick,
Yeah.
can't imagine this stuff. The DNA imperfections that what happens with you take the bad strings and you're mixing stuff so you get a more pronounced nose or you get a more pronounced hair or you get a more pronounced bald spot or you get a more pronounced you have 7 fingers rather than just 5. The bottom line is that I understand that this writer feels it's the end of the world. Back in many different through the centuries, this was not uncommon. It is not common for our day, for our society, but it's out there. So,
But there is a reason that he's having a really hard time with it.
but the reality is this went on.
Yeah.
And your partner is obviously healthy. I do believe that in some cases, look, my brother is a borderline hemophiliac. My sister also has some blood disorders. My mother had blood. Could all those blood disorders because of the connection of my mother's mother and her marrying her uncle and conceiving children? Absolutely. Um, my blood work is fine. I am not a hemophiliac. I don't have factor 11. I don't have any of these issues. It's just, I talk with a tick and I sneeze. I don't know.
Well,
It's
and beyond all of that, just I think it's mainly probably the shock value and the fact that then you just feel like you've been lied to or that you've been believing something that's like totally what not the
I,
truth is, and you feel that maybe left out from it, or you just feel like you've been in the dark.
yeah. I mean, she's obviously was embarrassed. I can tell you that my grandmother had a bit of embarrassment telling me this when she did, but she was bold enough to tell me about it.
Well, I think that's the problem here is the
Yeah.
parents have kept it in the dark because we get to the ideal outcome. We both don't really know what to do and would love advice on how to approach it,
So
especially since, of course, he's embarrassed of the situation since he's a firstborn of cousins in the family. His aunt also informed us that the whole family knows about it
mhm.
and thought my partner and his brother knew, but just didn't talk about it.
I think that the partner should really go have a conversation with his mother, and it should all become clean and say, why didn't you tell me? But do it in a way that it is not adversarial, but more compassionate. because obviously there is a reason why she didn't tell you. She is embarrassed or
Mhm.
for whatever it is. So let's see if we can heal the wound by finding out really what it is. Are you in any immediate health issue? I'm not smart enough to know that. I can only tell you by my own personal experience and reality that this is fact regarding my bloodline.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, and
I'm doing fine.
it doesn't, for the partner, I think it is a lot of the shock value in being left out,
Mm-hmm.
because it, at this point, it doesn't define you.
Mm-mm.
It has no lasting or crazy effects on you.
Well,
So
we don't know what the effects are. We don't know what the blood, how close it is.
sure.
We don't know any of this, but the reality is that this person is functioning. They haven't had any health issues. I'm certainly if they're, I mean, so we'd have to, really let them find out through their medical community, go to a doctor and find out if there's any issues they should be concerned with once they find out the distance,
Right.
if there is an exposure there for a problem. But far as their functioning, it hasn't affected him thus far because he didn't know about it till up until a week ago.
That's true. And so probably the best thing is partner and then his brother go and have this conversation, and
And just get
everything
it
moves
out
forward.
and get it out because at the end of the day, everyone's going to love one another. I mean, you're family.
Well, you're not going to change anything.
It's only what you do to change it at this
Yeah.
point. It doesn't make your parents love you any less because let me tell you, if your mom has given you love all her life, let's go with the big picture, not the small picture.
True.
So what do we got next?
That's where we end.
So we conclude with number 18.
Yep, number 18.
So number 18 is now going to be concluded. Let me tell you about the number 18. In Jewish, 18 is a very significant number. It's Chai. Chai means life. So you sometimes always hear to life. Cheers,
I like it.
Cheers to life. So here's cheers to Chai, 18, which is very lucky. So we want everyone to have a lucky week. And we will look forward to show number 19.
That's right.
Are we going to have a Patreon after this?
That's where we're headed.
So now that you're done with this, click on over to Patreon and we have one more for you. And I'm sure Justin will have me in my seatbelt.
This is a good one, yes.
So he has promised us a little action. So let's see what we get. Have a wonderful week and thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.